If you only want to focus on your lived experience,
well, what else do you go based off
versus
of?
getting new experiences?
Well, that's.
By the way, just to give some context right here, this is Melyssa Ford and Joe Budden. I'm sure some other people are going to chime in as well. And they're talking about the recent Tracee Ellis Ross discussion about dating young men. Let's keep listening.
That's what she's saying. She's accumulating new experiences, dating younger men who seem to have a less traditional way of thinking, and they're a little bit more fluid in their way of thinking and acting. That's what she also goes on to say after that.
So you're sliding.
Whatever you want to describe it as.
She's sliding them. She's sliding them.
Whatever you want to describe. Listen.
That just sound like justifying toxic femininity.
Why is this? What does toxic femininity have to do with this particular situation? She's not sitting up there talking about feminism and being a feminist. Her lived experience is, you're right. She's Diana Ross's daughter. She's been famous since she was in the womb. She's a unicorn. And I use that term because there really is not a lot of women or people that can understand what her life has looked like, being famous from being a child and living, and probably having access to wealth, and then becoming famous in her own right and having an enormous amount of success from girlfriends and then Blackish. Like, her lived experience is extremely unique. And so it's really difficult to apply everyday kind of standards and thoughts to to what she's experienced.
Man,
Okay, hold up for a second.
I agree.
Okay. That was awesome, first of all.
Thank you.
But it's still both of those things can be true.
Yes.
I'm who I am, the same way these
You're right.
Wait, I want to start before I forget, because you asked me a question. I think anybody operating from I think anything that's operating in trauma or rooted in trauma is toxic. Guy or girl.
Ooh.
Okay, so why are you using the word trauma, though?
Because you said she's based on her past life experience.
Lived experience.
And trauma with these types of controlling men.
You all use the word trauma. I just said.
Well, I don't agree with that. They're using all types of buzzwords here so far. Trauma is a part of life. Like, people try to, don't operate in trauma. Trauma is a part of life. We all go through it. It changes how you move in life. It is a part of life, right? You're not going to, now you can do your best to work through trauma, but trauma is a part of life, right? From the time you're born, you go through traumatic decisions. You touch the stove, you get burnt, it's traumatic. Then you learn, changes the way you move. Now, if we're talking about, like, you're living a fear-based lifestyle, then that's something else. So I'm struggling to see where Melyssa Ford is coming at here. To me, it sounds like she's just talking. You guys remember what I said about Tracee Ellis Ross in the last video? The idea that she's now dating younger men, or strictly dating younger men and Gen Z men, or whatever generation it may be. Maybe she's enjoying them just for the sex, right? Because somebody was saying, let's be honest, this is because, those young men can probably have more stamina, have more time to please her. They have less probably requirements, and she probably enjoys their experience with these men. Whatever it is, her experience is not unique. Now, her life overall is unique. But if you guys notice, the reason why celebrities, while there is an aspect of their experience that is vastly different from ours and how they navigate through life, the qualifications when it comes to relationships and having a good, strong relationships are really all the same. Can you find somebody who is compatible enough to want to deal with you from the time you are right now, if that's what you value and want, to the end of your life? Because that's what people want when they're looking for a lifelong partner. In the last video, I talked about Oprah Winfrey, right? Looks like she found that with, I forget his name, who actually proposed to her, and she turned him down because she knew herself and realized, hey, I don't even want marriage. I just wanted to know I could be picked. And it's really not that different. It takes the same things. It takes selflessness. It takes hard work. It's probably more challenging. That's different when you're a public figure, because there are all these other things that you have to worry about. But at the end of the day, the work it takes is still the work it takes.
said lived experience. I'm
listen
not
to-
using
but-
the word
okay,
trauma.
but
You
let me
didn't,
just
but
land.
he did.
Let me land
Okay.
and then have a blast with it. When I mentioned getting new experiences, you countered with her lived experience. So if you are afraid of new experiences or shaping your experiences to only be one way because of your trauma from your lived experiences,
cut that oven on.
I'm calling that trauma, which is why I highlighted Tracee Ellis Ross's ability to get any man in the world, and there's 7 billion men in the world.
Yeah.
1, 2, I think the mere existence of her contradicts her point. Because her point is, I'm this age. The men that I'm meeting in my age bracket are leftovers. I'm running into the worst of the worst.
Your
And
words,
so-
not hers.
I didn't
That's
get
what
that.
I'm-
I ain't get that.
Oh, that's what I'm getting from what. All right, so maybe I'm off base.
I can tell you
got
what,
some of that from what she was
I
saying.
got from what she said
Yeah, she didn't say leftovers.
is
The
hey,
dating
and
pool
being-
and niggas my age, it ain't it. I heard
I ain't
that.
even going that far with
Well,
it.
go ahead.
The shit she's been around and she's into, men her age ain't into. And when she try to get into it with them, it's no. And that's where that toxic masculinity part comes in, because everybody say, when you're speaking about fluidity and willing to try and allow other shit, the younger niggas is with that today. So she
Is that right? You guys are with that? Fluidity? Why are you gay? Right? That's all I heard.
She's like, I like this because I get to do more to
I think
these
that's
niggas.
a crock of shit. That men are not a monolith.
I'm not saying a monolith, but a
and
lot
that's the
of
part
older,
I thought.
Joe Bun. Joe Bun said, "What?" No, let me now. Let's keep this.
Ain't
Men are not a monolith.
They're not.
So don't tell me that there's not a man in your
shit.
age range.
We playing
that's
percentages.
into some of the
we
things.
playing percentages. So the nigga she shot at her age range, her percentage at getting off what she might want to get off ain't high.
I'm not mad
But
at
when
that.
you play with the younger ones, I could get it off.
I'm not
And
mad at
because
it.
of who I am,
But it does-
they're gonna let me do what the fuck I want to do
But it
to
does come off like I'm here for a good time, not a long
Okay,
time.
so hold on 1 second here. Y'all are on the same wavelength with.
I'm agreeing with-
which she might be. She might be an undercover freak. Okay, let's put
agreeing
that
with
to the
that.
side. You were gonna say something.
I was going to say that she brought up the men in my age range are X, which is a huge generalism about men her age.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm her age.
Okay,
She's 52. I'm 49 years old.
Yeah.
So you can't judge all
but
men
you're
that.
taken. She does. She's not. She's
please-
not referring to the
please,
men.
Mel, let me finish
Okay,
my
go ahead.
sentence.
Go ahead.
Yo, you can't take all of these men that are in that age range and say that they are all suffering from toxic masculinity. Had a man
Yes, she can. She did, and she truly believes that. Don't get it twisted. She truly believes that. Let me make his point.
been on that interview and stated those same exact things about women in his age group, you would have found that offensive.
Right.
Right? So
Right.
you don't find it offensive because she brought up her past traumas that Joe said about controlling men or men that were X, all of these negative things that she lived in her past life experiences. If a man was saying that those things and he justified all older women as being X, y'all would say, nah, he just able, he rich, he can control these young because they weak of mind.
See, that's the point I was trying to make. Maybe I articulated myself wrong. What I get from her is there's piss in the dating pool of men her age. And to say that, like putting it in reverse, like a man can't say that because there is a Tracee Ellis Ross out there that is single, successful, and in search of something. Why does she think the same can't be said for her? You can meet somebody.
I
Okay.
think. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
So you can throw a rock and hit a podcast of men talking about how used and washed up women over a certain age is. That is a
Don't
fact.
start talking about
No,
these incel.
I'm not talking about that. He made a point about if it was in reverse and it was a man saying this sort of thing, in reverse, that we'd be totally offended. Yes, it is offensive, but I can't not hear that because it is so prevalent.
Please address the point.
I'm addressing something that you said.
There's a community, there's names for them. Incels, red pill. We talking about Tracee Ellis Ross.
Okay.
See, even that highlights the difference.
It's interesting to hear Joe Budden say, those other incels or red pill people. And I think the conversation of like red pill podcasts that I don't use much here on my channel much at all because they'll put you in a certain box or classifier. But either way, I understand that they probably associate all platforms, all male platforms that don't have female hosts pushing the type of rhetoric that we see with Tracee Ellis Ross and Melyssa Ford, they're in that category. I find that really interesting because I remember Joe Budden brought Kevin Samuels on his podcast, you know, and I think even with Kevin Samuels, I remember videos of Kevin Samuels saying that he is red pill, but I also know that over time he started to separate himself from that label just because it's like the word feminist, right? Most women today, they're not so quick to claim that feminist title because that means that you believe that all men are trash or that a man can do everything a woman can do, vice versa. A woman can do everything a man can do. And so they're not quick to take that on. And I think the same thing happened. But I think it's interesting. I'll be curious to know where he stands now with KS when it comes to the whole RP conversation. Let's keep listening.
Second here. Now going back to Tracee Ellis Ross. You cannot be in all places at the same time as it relates to dating. Okay? So, for example, I'm single. Do you know how much advice, unsolicited advice people give me about dating? A ton. I'm just going to tell you a lot. You know what you should do? You know where you should go? You know what I was thinking? No, I don't. I didn't ask, but you're going to tell me anyways. This is what happens to women frequently is we get unsolicited advice as to where we're supposed to be. It would literally be a full-time job trying to position ourselves to be available to wherever these men are, because you can't be in all places all at the same time and also fucking run your life, have a career. It gets difficult. Like, it's not as simple as everybody wants to make it seem. Like, she's Tracee Ellis Ross, so she should have like pick of the litter. That's not necessarily true.
Oh, you're moving the goalpost.
I'm not moving the goalpost. I'm not moving the goalpost. I'm referencing the things that she was saying. When she talks about, she goes on to talk about, the fact that she's child free and never got married and that sort of thing. I think that even just kind of putting herself out there to even have that conversation was just a level, and you guys are gonna fucking
so brave.
I do think that is brave because she leaves herself very open to a lot of criticism and judgment for people to say that was your choice, you made that choice.
But she did, and so did you, Melyssa Ford. I mean, what are we talking about here, gentlemen? Let me tell you something. Do not ever stop. Don't ever back down. They want you to not speak. They want you to. If you're a man today, like I've said many times, who has traditional values, who believes and values that, and you want a relationship with someone who does, or maybe even if you don't, right? But you embrace your masculinity, they will put you in a certain category. Speak the truth. The truth is she did choose that. No one forced Melyssa Ford to be a video vixen. And we can all sit here and pretend that that decision in her life and the whole story that she told didn't affect her life or have consequences. We can all sit here and pretend. But the reality is that it did, and it does. And it just doesn't just go for the women, men too. If you're a man out here who lacks sexual discipline and you're just going and smashing everything that you see, right? And you're racking up baby moms and so on and so forth and trauma, and you're not being careful, you too suffer the consequence. And sitting here and pretending, people are done with pretending. And it comes with the opinions and advice, sometimes unsolicited, because you gave your opinion, shared your situation publicly, unsolicited.
Blah, blah, blah. When it's just like life just ebbs and flows and takes you in different directions, and your priorities are what they are. Like, they change vastly. You just can only go with the tools that you have at the moment that you fucking have them.
To say that is against the power of manifestation, by the way.
Okay, I'm not.
To say that life just comes and goes.
I'm not talking.
That just makes everybody sound like
a
helpless
good
piece.
Sleep?
That just makes that makes everybody sound like a helpless piece of shit.
But not every.
He's right. I'm surprised. I don't know. Joe Budden sounding like a toxic podcast. If you ask me, what do you think?
Everybody manifests.
Yeah, not everybody.
Not
manifests.
everybody
I
is
agree
into
with her.
manifestation.
A lot of
Not
people
everybody
believe in
even not everybody thinks about that's your bag. And you talk about it constantly. But not everybody thinks about manifestation or believes in manifestation.
Do you think that everybody believes in
Manifestation? Ah, come on, dog.
do you think that
Up in the clouds. Let's read a few comments here. This is just insane. Manifestation. So women are in the comment section here talking about, I don't know how Melyssa does it. Yo, these chicks are cooked, bro. I am sorry. Listen, do you know what the studies are saying? By 2030, there'll be the highest rate of single women out here. They're betting on this. They're putting their money on the line. Putting their money on the line. Oh, they're so cooked. Oh my. This says these are the men Tracee is talking about. So you got to ask yourself, if you have a problem and you said that man there is taken, you see men are married who disagree with you. You see people in relationships who disagree with you. You see the men that you would otherwise date who disagree with you. And both you and the woman you're defending are single. Does it not click?